Hi Natasha. I'm okay, thank you. Just sitting here looking out of my window at the rain. It's been a bit overcast all morning, but it is absolutely tipping it down now. Hi Natalia. Hi Shelley. Nice to see you joining us. I'll just give it a minute or so just to see if anybody else is going to pop in. Hi Claire. It's a nice surprise. Hello Jane. Gosh, some nice little names popping up there. And there's Christine, our faithful follower, the lovely Christine. Your first time, Shelley. Well, I hope you enjoy it. We do several lives every week. There are 4 of us that do regular lives. Myself on a Friday, Claire on a Tuesday, and then every other Wednesday evening Heidi and Natasha alternate week on week. So we all got very different styles, so hopefully you'll pick up 1 or 2 nice tips over the days. And if you don't catch it live, they're always on our YouTube channel. So you just go onto YouTube and search for Crafting with Lisa Horton and then subscribe while you're there. There are over 200 videos on there now. There's probably nearing more like 300. Hi Lynn. So there are an awful lot of videos on that YouTube channel to be able to pick your mojo up when it goes walkabouts. Hi Janet. Hi Franca. Right, we'll get cracking because there's several people joined us this afternoon, so we'll make a start. So this is the card I'm going to be doing today. And hi Mary. Gosh, what time is it in New York? Hi Anne. Yeah, this is the card I'm going to be doing today, and it looks quite a simple card, which it is, but I wanted to concentrate more on the blending today because 1 or 2 people have in the group have posted that they're not sure about blending, they're a bit frightened of having a go. So I just really wanted to show you not to be scared of it. You'll end up with what you end up with. You can always add colour, obviously you can't take it away, but the beauty of the oxides is that they colour on top of each other, so you can always change the colour underneath by adding another colour on top. The ordinary distress inks don't do that. That's why I like using the oxides more than the ordinary distress. So I wanted it to be quite a simple card, but I wanted it to have a little bit of interest to it. Hence the reason I've gone for the stenciled background. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is use Lisa's Nested Torn Circles because I wanted this little wavy edge, but I didn't want to just cut a random shape and make it wavy. I wanted it to be a definitive line, and these are perfect for that. There are 11 dies in here, so varying sizes. I've used the biggest one to give me my background. Excuse me, I'm a bit croaky today, I do apologise. So, first thing I'm going to be doing is cutting out my template, because what I want to do is do this colouring within that circle and within the lines of the stencil that I'm going to show you in a second. So I'm going to put this to one side. This is always useful at some other point. You don't throw it away, you'll use it at some point in your crafting week, day, month, year, possibly. So, because this is ordinary cheap copy paper, I'm not going to sit and die cut it out for you on camera because A, it's boring, and B, most of you have got your own die cutting machines, so you know what you're doing anyway. So I'm just holding that up to the light so that I can get it more or less in the middle, and then I'm going to turn it over and I'm just going to secure that piece of copy paper on the back of the card with a little bit of double-sided, a little bit of low tack masking tape. Like that. Now I have tacked this masking tape because although it says low tack on the pack, it's actually quite more tacky than I wanted it to be, so I've detacked it just sticking it on my hand. So then I can turn it over and I know that my stencil, as it were, isn't going to move. So the stencil I'm going to be using today is one of Lisa's, obviously, and it's the rectangle set. This comes in a set of 2 along with the circles. There are still 5 in stock, so if you wanted to make a purchase, I'd be quick. And the thing I like about these stencils is not only the quality of the mylar. Hi Connie, it's nice to have you here. Fawn, Heidi, who's Fawn? You're a naughty girl, sneaking a peek at work, but I won't tell anybody, I promise. No worries, Heidi. I know you weren't being, you know. Anyway, so yeah, this is the stencil that I'm going to be using today. And the thing I like about Lisa's stencils, as I say, is not just the quality of the mylar, but the fact that you get all the little pieces that make the apertures. So you get all the little spare pieces that have come out of here as well. And this little touch here is on all of Lisa's Aperture dies, Aperture stencils, sorry. So you've got little rectangles on this one, you've got little circles on the circle stencil, little hexagons on the hexagon stencil, and little, what's the other one, triangles, little triangles on the triangle stencil. And they're just so useful if you wanted to add like a border or something. I just think that is just such a clever idea to add those on. Useful. You probably won't use them often, but when you're looking for something that's a little bit different, that's perfect. So the other thing I like about it is you can see through it. So when I'm lining up my stencils and deciding where I'm going to put my rectangles, I can see where I'm going. So once I start and add the colour, you'll see what I mean. You'll be able to see the colour through the stencil. So what am I going to add first? I'm just going to add my first rectangle. Now obviously if I don't add something around the edge here, I'm going to go over the lines. I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some large post-it notes, because it means I don't use as many, just around the edge of the aperture that I'm going to use, so that I don't get ink where I don't want ink. Okay, so that's those 2 there, and then just one across the top. And obviously all this is just copy paper anyway, so that's not going to cause me any problems. Right, now when I prepped this card, I did check Lisa's website for stock levels, and she had got her wonder brushes in stock. There weren't many, but they were in stock. And I've checked today before I've come on air, and they've all sold out. So I apologise for using Lisa's brushes, although I don't really, because they're amazing. So when they do come back, if you can afford them, I'd treat yourself, because they're amazing. So these are the wonder brushes, and they are superb for blending. You won't get any harsh lines with these, because they are so closely, all those bristles are so close, you just won't get harsh lines. So it's just a case of adding your blending ink and just building up your colours. Now I'm using, as I said, oxides, because I just like the way they blend. I've got 5 here. You don't have to use 5, but I've used the same 5 on this card. Now I don't think you can tell that there are 5 colours there, and I just like the way they've sort of blended into each other. So it's just go with the flow, basically. There's no right or wrong. It's just how it happens. Just go with the flow, let the ink go to the paper, and see what you end up with. You can always add another colour on top, and at the end of the day, if you don't like it, it's a piece of card. So you know, it's no great shakes, is it really? So let's get stuck in. I'm going to start with tumbled glass. I know these are some of Lisa's favourite colours, but they're also some of my favourite colours, and I think it's just because when you blend them all together they can tend to give you extra colours that you weren't really aware of, and I just love how that works. So the one thing that I want as a constant is, like, I don't know whether you can see it on here, but if you look all the way around the edge, I've got a blue all the way around the edge. You can't really tell it's blue, but it is there. So all the way around the edge I've gone with blue, and that's what I'm going to start with. I'm going to start with my blue. So around the edge I'm just going to go in with my blue, and really this blending is the only thing that takes any time, because once I've done the blending on here and I come to add the stamps, it will come together in no time at all. But I just wanted to go through the blending step by step so that you could see basically how easy it is. So what I was trying to achieve on here was sort of a sunsetty colour in the middle of my aperture, my large circle aperture here. So I've gone a bit heavier in the corners of each rectangle with the pink, and the pink that I'm using is the latest Kitsch Flamingo Distress Oxide, because I just adore this pink. Spun Sugar was one of my favourites, but to be honest, this has taken over as my favourite. And as you can see, it's purely random where I'm adding this colour. I'm not planning it at all. It isn't something that you plan. It just happens, and that's what I like about blending, to be honest. So once I've done one little triangle, I'm not going to go over it again just yet. I'm going to wait until I've done them all, lifted it off, and then seen where my colours are on my card. So I'm looking at the whole of this stenciled area as a sort of one picture then, and then I can decide where I want to go in and add extra colours. So nice brushes. Yeah, they are, Lisa. I can't remember where I had them from now, but they are really nice. Sadly all sold out, but there you go, just shows how good they are. So I'm now going to move this. I'm going to take these off, and I'm going to move my stencil on my card. I mean, look at that, how fab is that? Doesn't that just look amazing? So now, before I move on, one thing I didn't do when I was making the card, as I was prepping it, was just remove the ink around the stencil. And you don't have to, but I just think if you want your colours crisp, it's just worth taking a little bit of extra time just to wipe off that excess ink on your stencil, and then you can move it. Now you can use different sizes of the rectangles, again something I like about the actual stencil set, and just move it around. But I don't know whether you can see, I might just lift this up a little bit, I don't know whether you can actually see through the stencil. You can see the colour underneath, so you can see where you're going to be lining up your stencil. I'm just waiting for my camera to catch up. So yeah, you can see through there, through that stencil, you can see where that ink line is. So when you add your next colour block, you can line this up so that you've got a gap between that rectangle and the next rectangle, like I did on my original, so that you've got all these little gaps here. Okay, so I need a bigger desk. Right, so I'm just going to put that there. I'm actually going to make the gaps a little bit smaller than I did on my original, just because I want to. So that's going there. And again, I'm going to start with the blue, because I want the blue around the edge to be constant all the way around this aperture. Not worried about these little things because they're on the copy paper, so they're not going to show on my card. So that's my blue. Go in with my pink first, and again totally random where I'm placing it, not necessarily planning where the colours are going, because that's the beauty of when you're blending. Don't plan it, because it'll never work out the same. If you try and plan it so that you put in the same colours in the same sort of position every time, it'll never work. So why bother trying, because it'll only get you wound up, and it's not worth it. So there we go, there's my next one. And as I say, I'm not worried whether there is enough colour on here yet. I will suss that out when I've finished, and then I'll go back over some of the rectangles. So now I've got a gap here, so I'm going to go down there. Just going to wipe that edge off there. You don't, as I say, you don't have to wipe the edge, but I just think if you want the colours nice and crisp. See, this one is already looking pinker than this one, but it won't by the time I've finished, I promise. So it's just about where am I going, which rectangle am I using, which way round am I putting it. So I'm going to go a different way with that one, I think. So again, put my post-it notes down so that I'm not getting ink where I don't want the ink. Starting with the blue, coming in around the edge. I'm obviously not catching up on comments, so I've missed some of your comments, but I'll catch up with them later. It's the trouble when you're doing this blending, you can tend to lose yourself in the moment. So if I don't catch your comment, and nobody else has answered it, I will go through them afterwards and just answer any questions if nobody else has. But we do have a fantastic design team, and 9 times out of 10 there's always somebody from the DT actually watching the live, so there's always somebody around to answer your questions. So if I miss it, there's always somebody here that will answer it for me. And as I say, if they don't, I can catch up later, not a problem. I'm just going to add a little bit more pink in there because there isn't quite enough, even though I'm going to go round again afterwards. So again, lift that off there. See how quickly it comes together, your blending. And paper's coming off my low tack tape. But see how quickly your blending comes together, and as I say, there is no mistakes. You're not really making mistakes. You're just changing it as you're going along, or working it out as you're going along. So it's as easy or as difficult as you want to make it. But I've got to be honest, the brushes make it dead easy. So again, coming in on the edge, and I always start off the paper and drag the colour in. That way I don't get too much blue around the edge, because I just want the blue to be a hint. I don't want the blue to stand out too much. It really is just a hint of colour around the edge that I want with that blue. And as you can see, I am so random with these colours. It's unbelievable. Now you'll see there, that green is quite prominent, but if I go in with, say, the orange, I can blend that out and it won't look so obvious. And then when I go back in with the pink, I can add more pink, and that green has sort of faded a little bit into the background, which again is the beauty of the oxides. So, and it's all about personal taste. This, it's, you know, where you want to place your rectangles, how you want to place them, whether you want them all in the same direction, whether you want them in different directions, whether you want different sizes. And I think that's nice to add a different size in now and again. I think I'm going to go the other way with that, to be honest. Yeah, that just so that it looks pretty random, just to give you a different look in the background. Yes, it's a bit fiddly, but I think the finished effect just is so worth it. I've got to be honest, Janet, I've had other brushes, but I have to say these are the best brushes I've ever bought. They blend beautifully and you get no harsh lines whatsoever. So when they come back in stock, if you can afford it, treat yourself, definitely, even if it's only a set of 4 to start with, because obviously Lisa's got a set of 4 or a set of 8, which came with an acrylic stand, which is amazing. But if you can only afford 4, then just get 4 to try. I don't think you'd be disappointed, I really don't. Yes, Heidi, you're quite right. The right tools make all the difference in the world. You can, yes, sponges are great for different things. There are still occasions when I use sponges, and I know, you know, the rest of the DT are all the same. But these brushes just make life so easy. So I'll go with that one. And then it's just a case of filling in what you're left with. So it'd just be randomly placing your rectangles to fill in the gaps that you've got left. And it doesn't really, I mean, what have I been on? About 10 minutes. It doesn't really take that long to do the blending. Once you get started, it's probably taking me a little bit longer because I'm trying to talk you through it at the same time. But it's so therapeutic when you're doing this blending, I've got to be honest. If you're feeling a little bit down or, you know, a bit low, shut yourself away in your craft room or your dining room table or wherever it is you craft, and just sit and do some ink blending or colouring. You know, art is therapy. Not saying I'm an artist, I'm just saying crafting. Perhaps that's better. Crafting is therapy. So this is totally different to the one I did yesterday in my prep, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. It's just a lot pinker, this one, but I can go in and tone that down if I want to, which I may well do in a second. Just put my paper around there. Now you see this is quite a small gap, so I'm using the edge of the brush just to come in off the paper, just to give me that blue edge around the circle, and then again I'm just going in with a little bit of colour, randomly, different colours, the whole of the spectrum that I've used all over the card. I'll just go over that blue again because my green sort of took over a little bit, but it's just, I just think it's fun, relaxing, and what you achieve at the end of it is so worth the little bit of effort. The other reason that I clean the ink off here is that it helps you to see where your lines are underneath, because obviously the more ink you get on your stencil, the less you're going to be able to see through it. And I don't want those lines to be too definite, but so we just got this one and one other, I think, and then we'll decide, do we need to go over any of the colours? I probably will, just to make them a little bit less pink. Yeah, the YouTube channel has such a lot of info on it. It's so worth subscribing if you're not already if you haven't already got a subscription to it, then then think about it, because as Claire says, there is an awful lot on there that you can gain a little bit of knowledge from. So this is my last one, and then I'm just going to decide whether I want to add any other colour. This is going to be mainly blue because it's such a tiny little space. Blue and pink, I think. But I'm trying to put the pink back on the blue. What a heejit. Right, I'll just go back in with the blue. So there's my background. Now, am I happy with that? Am I going to leave it like that? Probably not, because it is just a little bit in your face. So with this one, I think you can see the difference. This is very much pinker. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to go in with the orange and the yellow over the top of the pink, just to soften that off a little bit. So I'm just going to go back in with my original shapes in the same place, add my post-it notes, because I don't want to spoil it after all that effort. I don't want to go in and spoil it. So I'm just going to go back in over the top of that pink with a little bit of orange, and just not dull it down, but just soften that pink off a little bit, because it was a little bit in your face. Yeah, that's better. See, that's taken off quite a bit of that pink, and I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go back in and do the other bits where the pink is a little bit bright. I'm just going to go back in with my brushes and just go over the colours that I want to just take the edge off. And this is where you've got to keep a hold on your stencil, because what you don't want to do at this stage is move it around so that you end up with ghost lines. Yeah, I'm much happier with that. I think that's a much much nicer blend. I think it's a little bit softer, so I'm a little bit happier with that. I'll come down a little bit. Put my papers back. Thank you, Natasha. I do love blending. I just think it's such a satisfying thing to do, and the effects that you get at the end, I just think are well worth it. I'm really only going over this with the orange just to dull it down a little bit. I'm not using any other colours, whereas I did with the other one. I'm taking the paper off full. See, it's come unstuck now from the back of my card. So I'll just put that back where it should be. It's never going to go quite where it should. Quite easy to line up. Perhaps I should have detacked my masking tape quite as much as I did. So I think I'll just do this little one, and then I'll leave it at that. And just go back over that pink with my orange, just to take a bit of the brightness out of it. That's better. I'm happy with that. So before I take this off, I'm going to put in the tree branches. Now obviously I said to you, didn't I, that I'm going to be using something that isn't a tree branch to create a tree branch, and I tried several different things, But the one thing I ended up with, the one thing I was happy with in the end, was using a stamp from a floral set. Now again, when I prepped this, there was a floral set in stock. However, they have all sold out. But the good news is they're coming to TV on Monday. Now if you haven't got this set, let me show you. If you haven't got this set and you're looking for a nice florals set, you like using florals, you won't go wrong using this set. It is one of the most used sets in my stash, and the reason I like it is it's got two of my favourite flowers, the cherry blossom and the sweet pea, which I adore, but the poppy is beautiful, and I like the little, I think these are probably lavender or something like that, but you can utilise these to be something completely different. So they come with a set of dies as well, so it's a stamp and die set. So if you didn't want to use the stamp, you could use the die for this stamp, just use the die and make it into a tree. And that was one that I did on a live a few weeks ago, but I wanted some trees, and at the moment Lisa hasn't got any tree stamps or only Christmas trees. So I looked through what I'd got in my stash, saw these and thought they're perfect. So I used them as trees rather than lavender flowers. So clever. And I've also used the Edges set of dies, which again is coming to TV on Monday. Now I know a lot of what Lisa is bringing on Monday will be a last chance saloon, so there will be probably some really special price offers on a lot of the things. So if you're looking to get stuff that's been out for a while, then watch on Monday, 10:30 and 3 o'clock on Create and Craft. You won't be disappointed. So I am using this one on my project today, and I'm using this as tree branches. So what I wanted was for it to look like my giraffe was looking for something to eat. So this is why the tree branches are hanging down like this, but I didn't want to put too much. So all I've done is I've used my black VersaFine Clair because I just think it gives a really nice crisp image. I've inked up my little flower stamp, and then leaving my mask in place, I'm just going to stamp that off the page. So I'm stamping off the stencil that I've made using the torn edge circles, and I'm going to just make it look like a hint of a tree. So you can't see the tree, but what you can see is the branches coming down so that the giraffe can actually reach his dinner. And I just think some of these little stamps that sort of possibly tend to get overlooked a little bit come in so useful for something like this. Let me just add one more, possibly two. Okay. And that's as simple as it gets, as difficult as it gets. So that's my branches. Now because my giraffe is standing outside the circle, now I can take my mask off. So take my mask of paper off, that's scrap, and take my masking tape off. See, I always do this, I get ink on my finger and then, like an idiot, I get it on my card. So I'm just using my little residue eraser to take it off again. Fabulous bit of kit that. If you haven't got one, you need one. They're brilliant. Have a feeling they're on TV on Monday too. So my giraffe. Now my giraffe comes from a set of stamps called It's a Jungle Out There. And this is the set that I've used. This is the giraffe that I'm using today. And I've used this little fellow on a baby card, because sometimes you want a card that's a little bit different and you don't want to use, you know, prams or bibs or something like that, so you just want to use something a little bit different. And I always think elephants and babies go together. I'm not sure why, but it's just something I've got in my head that I like using. So I used him on the padded quilt background, cut one of the nested scalloped circles out, used the padded quilt 3D embossing folder, and then stuck my little elephant on the top. And I've also used the Essentials stamp and die set as well. Now I have a feeling that the essential words, which are these, are also on TV on Monday. So you can see that on Monday it's sort of a revisit show that gives you an opportunity to buy some of the things you might have missed, because I know we have got an awful lot of new members. It's going to give you the opportunity to buy things that you've missed in the past at, I've got to be honest, ridiculous prices. So if you can watch, I would. So that's the set that I've used. It's Jungle out there, and there are at the moment only one of these still in stock. So if you wanted this, best be quick. And it's in the sale, so it's about half price. It's £6.99 at the moment, so there is only one of those left. So my little giraffe is again stamped in VersaFine black because I want it to stand out. I've seen cards done like this where they've used sort of a silhouette stamp, but I just wanted to prove to you that you don't have to have silhouette stamps for it to look just as good. Sorry, Janet, I don't mean to enable. She lied. But I've got to be honest, if you can get Lisa's products at really ridiculously low prices, why wouldn't you? Because I just think they're fabulous. So I'm just going to pop him on my card there so that he's standing outside the circle like that. And I have to say, Lisa's stamps stamp beautifully. So the last thing I want to put in is my sentiment. Now this one comes from the Be Happy Part 2 stamp set. There was a Part 1, but sadly that's sold out, and I don't think that'll ever be coming back. But the Part 2 stamp set does have some beautiful sentiments on it. I mean, when you love what you have everything you need. That is so true. But this one, the one I've used today, is the same one that I used yesterday. Make today a happy day. Because I think in this day and age, you need as much happy, you want as much happy as you can get. So why not make every day a happy day if you can? And then I'm going to pop that. Now, as luck would have it, because I've changed the layout of this, I've got a little rectangle here that will sort of sit as a more or less a little frame for this sentiment. Yes, it's going to hang outside it, but I don't think that's going to matter. But it's just going to sit in that little rectangle beautifully. Because when I looked at the one I'd done yesterday, I thought perhaps I should have gone a little bit higher with it. There you go. And that is all there is to it. But I think you can see that most of the time I've spent was done on the blending, and it's not difficult. It can be fun. Make it fun for yourself. Don't stress over it. Mad rush to Lisa's shop. Yeah, I'm not sure Lisa and Danny have seen the light of day for a few weeks now, but yeah, so have fun with your blending. If you get stuck and you want a few tips, then go and look at the YouTube channel, because there are so many videos on there now that they're not just our lives that we do. Other design team members have put videos on there showing you how they've made cards and different techniques that they've used. So when Mr. Mojo goes walkabout, just go and have a flick through. I don't think you'll be disappointed, and I think you will always find something to help you with whatever you're struggling with. So there's my two. They do look quite a bit different. I would have gone with a bit more pink in the middle there, looking at it on my iPad now, but I'm happy with both of those. So some of the other things that Lisa's got on Monday are the trailing foliage stamps. Now, those of you that are really new to the group probably will never have seen them before, and if you haven't, go and have a look on the website, because the trailing foliage is one of those you will always use it stamps. You can use it for floral cards, you could use it for Christmas cards, you could use it for birthday cards, you can use it in so many different ways. And just one of the ways that I've used it, I haven't even coloured it in, I've stamped it on some of Lisa's Pretty Petals papers, and I've stuck it to the background here. I stenciled the background using Lisa's checked stencil, and then these butterflies are from one of the latest slimline die sets, the butterfly trio set, and all I've done is just snip the butterflies out of the frame. Sorry, Janet. Just put your fingers in your ears. But yeah, all I've done is just snip the butterflies out of the frame and stuck them to the front of the card. I've also put one on the back, and then as a closure on this I've just used some magnets, and these are self-adhesive magnets. There is one under here as well, so that this has got something to stick to, but you can't see it because I've put it underneath the paper, so you can't see it. Again, if you go to the YouTube channel and look at playlists and look for Lisa Robson's name, Lisa did a tutorial for a TP card, and I think the only difference is that Lisa's used a ribbon as her closure rather than a magnet. So it just goes to show you there are different ways of making all sorts of things. You don't have to do it exactly the same way, you can adapt it. So I won't keep you any longer. I was going to show you some more cards of stuff that's on the TV on Monday, but I've kept you long enough, so I'll just put those in the group this afternoon. The video will be up on YouTube hopefully later today, if it doesn't take very long to download, as it took me ages last week. And I will see you back here next Friday. Don't forget Lisa's on TV on Monday, 10:30 and 3 o'clock. Sky Channel 683. Not sure about the other like Virgin or whatever. But it will be a chance for you to get some fantastic bargains at quite possibly the last chance you'll get on some of the things. So if you can watch and you've missed stuff but you want, you know, good bargains, then that's the show to watch. So I love you and leave you. Claire will be with you on Tuesday, Heidi on Wednesday, and then I'll be back with you next Friday. So have a fabulous weekend. Freeview Channel 95, thank you, Anne. Have a fabulous weekend, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you've picked up some good tips. Have a lovely weekend, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.